Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So let's hop right into it. Season 27, Diablo 3. When does it actually start? So starting right off, it's August 26th at 5 p.m. PDT. And what are the season rewards? Let's go ahead and go over that. So these are the season rewards. You get a brand new portrait frame, as well as a pet holding a demon hand with a sword. Now, in addition to that, of course, the most important thing is what is the seasonal theme? Now, I've covered this in previous videos, so if you guys want to see like more in-depth explanation of it, feel free to check out some videos. I'll pin them down below. But basically, to sum it up, there's these brand new angelic white items that you can actually get as dust, and then you apply them to a legendary item, and then it will basically make it a primal with basically perfect stats, but it randomly rolls like, you know, what the stats are exactly going to be. Like if you want cooldown reduction, all that stuff, you will still have to re-roll those potentially to actually appear on the item, but they'll still be a primal. And what it does is it gives you a brand new ability. Right now, you guys are seeing one of them on the Barbarian, which is going to be an ability to just consistently suck up all the enemies. And then what you can do for gameplay is use Hammer of the Ancients and get a big slam with massive area damage. It's really fun. So basically, you can play a completely new build with some of these new angelic powers. It's really cool though. And if you guys are wondering as far as the tier list goes, I have one already ready to go. But there are going to be some updates in this video, and we'll briefly talk about them, but it's basically going to be the same. So that's what the seasonal theme is. Basically, angelic powers, you put them onto an item and it's going to change up your gameplay. Like as you're seeing the Barbarian here, and we can actually swap to the Angel Crusader now, because that's actually what I want to talk about really soon. So first off though, before we hop into like the changes with the builds, what are the Hatrix Gifts? So this is what we got. We got from left to right, we got the Monk with the Arraignment. We've got Yugioh for the Demon Hunter. We've got Wrath of the Waste with Barbarian, Talrashas, which actually did just receive a buff, and we'll talk about that in a second. We got Roland's, we got the Helltooth, and the Rathma for the Necromancer. So overall, great starters I could recommend are going to be Yugioh for Demon Hunter with a brand new Strafe build. Wrath of the Waste, because you're going to be going into basically a pseudo whirlwind build, and I say pseudo because you are mainly going to be not dealing damage with whirlwind, but it's actually going to still be utilized, and it's a really great build for like just pushing and getting content done really fast as a starter. And then also Necromancer is going to be very strong as well. So those are my 3 recommendations for anyone that's interested in starting. But let's go over the newer changes, because that's the most important thing. So, starting right off, this is going to affect all classes. The drop rate of the Angelic Crucibles has been doubled. This is an awesome change because, hey, more drop rate means you're going to be getting your stuff a lot faster. So that's the white powder that I was talking about that you put onto an item that makes it angelic, sanctified. The new Angel Legendaries is what some people are calling it. So yeah, that's going to be a nice change. And they're definitely like pretty easy to come by. But, you know, for maybe someone that doesn't have like, you know, 10 hours a day like maybe myself at the season start, it's going to be relatively easy to obtain them. If you just play, you know, in a weekend, you should probably get at least one of the powers that you're looking for. Keep in mind, you're only allowed to have 1 power, so you only need to get that random roll, because it's basically 3 for every single class, and hopefully you can get like the correct rolls. Usually it just comes down to like, does it have like cooldown reduction, or does it have area damage? Those are the important rolls that you're really looking for, maybe that you also want to add into your build. So next up, let's go ahead and go over these brand new changes. So starting off with the Crusader, the Angel build that you guys are seeing right here has actually been nerfed. But starting right off, the Blessed Hammer crackles with energy. It basically has the same amount of attacks. I've said that this thing needed a buff. I'm not sure what they're really doing with this other than making it so it doesn't stop when it hits allies. It also has collision problems sometimes on certain like small corridors, you know, like the barracks and other maps in the game. But I would say that this isn't really going to be a huge buff to the Crusader unless this is like going to do massive extra damage. Kind of felt underwhelming. The only build that Crusaders were really using is the Angel build, which again has actually been nerfed. So starting right off, we have the change with the Blessed Hammer. They've just highlighted it in red, so I guess there's a bug that makes it so it doesn't stop when it hits allies, because basically it's a boomerang and it goes out and then it comes back. If you guys want to see gameplay of the hammers, here's that gameplay of the Hammer Crusader. But they also buffed the Fist of the Heavens, legendary sanctified power, where after casting Steed Charge, you're able to have more Fists of the Heavens kind of occur. So if you're interested in doing speedruns with Crusader, this is definitely going to be the go-to, considering it's a really great build. If you want to do like GR like 100-ish, that's going to be probably where it starts to fall off in terms of being like a speed build. But it's very fun to play. I liked playing this indeed a lot, so that's going to be a cool little speed build for you guys. And then on top of that, so the thing that I mentioned before is the Archangel build with the Crusader. This has been heavily nerfed. Its damage has been reduced 33% of its previous value. So big nerf over there. That was when you would basically play a 0 DPS Crusader and just relying on the Sanctified Angels to do all of its damage. I would say at this point, I don't know if people will be really interested in even playing that, because that's what kind of made it unique. Lowering the damage by such a huge amount is going to make it so people just maybe choose other powers or just play a different class. My suggestion for you guys is, if you're a huge fan of the Crusader, maybe look into trying out another class for this season. Maybe next season come back to Crusader. Honestly, that's the best advice I could give you, because out of all the powers, Crusader definitely felt the most underwhelming. And the Angel one was the only thing holding it like by a thread, and they just nerfed it. So if you're wondering, can you do a GR 150 with this, because that's what I was trying to do in the PTR, it's still really hard to do it. Even in the previous state, when it was like at its peak for power, it was still really hard to pull it off. So I would say at this point, it's very unrealistic that it hits a 150. Someone's going to have to get a really good rift, and you basically have to summon the Guardian with maybe like, I don't know, like 12 minutes remaining. Like, you're going to need such a large amount of time if you're going to have a huge damage reduction with it. But so that's my thoughts with the Crusader as well as the update. So the Demon Hunter, we got nothing changed. Okay, it's Demon Hunter actually did clear a 150. It's not like a super easy thing to do, but it's with a cluster arrow build, and I'll be making build guides very soon. So if you guys do want to see that, and you're new here, hit subscribe and you'll see it very soon. As far as Monk goes, they changed some of the like text on the Wave of Light build. So up to 5 builds can be active at one time. It's a really good build for Monk for sure. But then the Shattering Light rune now respects which way you're facing when you strike the bell, and updated the tooltips that other players can attack the summoned bells, added sounds to the Wave of Life Sanctified Power. I mean, it's just text over here. Honestly, it's not going to change the way it actually works, with exception of maybe this over here. The bells no longer count as kills to other players. This could be stacks for other things. Maybe you can stack for extra XP. This could have been something interesting, but it's basically nerfed now, so it's not going to be able to do that. And then the bells despawn if not destroyed within 10 seconds. That's not really that big of a deal either. And then they actually buffed the Riment. So all the Way of the 100 Fists combo punchers use the second stage combo punch. Consecutive hits from the 100 Fists increase its damage by 2% and max 350 stacks. So that could actually be pretty good. I'm not sure if this is going to really affect Monk that much, though. I've already dropped like a tier list, and Monk was already on the S tier for the Wave of Light specifically. More likely people will probably still play that. I don't know if this damage is necessarily going to be enough to make it like a GR, like a Rift Guardian killer, but who knows? Maybe someone will figure out a way to stack it and it'll be viable, but I would say probably Wave of Light is still going to be the best build for Monk. Necromancer, no changes over here, and then with Witch Doctor, they added a visual effect to indicate the area where monsters are pulled in by the piranhas. So, as far as Witch Doctor goes, and I talked about Witch Doctor being on the A tier, even though, like, in gameplay-wise, it was 100% S tier, I mean, it did a 150, you could one-shot Rift Guardians. There is no update here with the Witch Doctor as far as, like, lowering the damage on the Bogadile that would basically come out. These elites and bosses stunned by the Bogadile would just take massive damage. I'm talking about, like, one-shotting Rift Guardians. It doesn't say they changed it. All I can assume is if they're not changing it, Witch Doctor will definitely be the ultimate class for this season if you're looking to do a GR 150. That and Monk would probably be my best bets. Doing like it on Barb can be a little bit more difficult because you kind of need to pull things in correctly. With this, it's going to be something where I'm really surprised if they don't change it. I'm assuming they're still going to change it though, but just keep in mind, if that doesn't get changed, be on the lookout for Witch Doctor for maybe a great start if you're looking to clear very high GRs. Wizard, none of them got changed over here. We did take a nerf with the magic missiles that got reduced to 10, but that was in the last update, and I've already talked about that. Next up, though, as far as item changes, they basically are nerfing the Guardians 2-piece. So before, people would just run 2-piece. They're kind of like swapping the 2 and 3-piece. Basically, the 3-piece would give you extra damage reduction, but now it's the 2-piece gives you damage reduction, and the stat that you actually want, which is 100% of like your main stat, that actually got moved to the 3-piece bonus. So you're still going to need to run either 3 or run Roaring Grandeur, which is what most people did anyways. So that's the change with the Guardians. This affects a lot of different builds. A lot of builds ran it. They've also changed the Phalanx damage on the Enforcer gem. They can now benefit Phalanx Condemns, so that's going to be a nice little change for Crusader. It's basically an army Crusader. This is probably one of the coolest builds that Crusader does get. Like I said, even though Crusader does have this is a brand new way to play Crusaders with like a Phalanx army. You're commanding these archers to attack. It's fun. However, in terms of like, is it really, really super powerful compared to other builds? I would say it still feels underwhelming, but this is a nice buff to it, so that's great. As far as Necro goes, nothing changed with Necro. Necro is so fantastic for the season as well. Let's go and swap into maybe some more gameplay. Something different here so you guys have something to look at in the background. But as far as Necro goes, Necro was already in a really good spot. So with the Demo Wizard, they changed it so Meteor doesn't like work with it. It's fine though, because Talrasha is supposed to be the Meteor build, but they actually gave Wizard a nice little change. So they basically removed Meteor from the build over here as far as like the DMO Wizard, and then on top of that, they actually changed Crown of the Primus to make it so the point of no return. How it works is it's not going to instantly just keep on stunning the enemies. So it's actually kind of a buff and a nerf depending on the way that you look at it. If you want to group up enemies, it's a buff. Overall, from higher level play, it's a buff. But for lower level, it could be argued that it is a nerf, but it's not really that big of a deal. The thing that I really wanted to see with Crown of Primus is the ability to just keep on teleporting, because the cooldown of teleport gets reset when we're inside our bubbles, but it doesn't grant us that power with the Crown of the Primus. So that's the change with that. So I didn't get that teleport there. But also with the Talrasha 2-piece bonus, damaging enemies with Arcane, Cold, Fire, or Lightning will grant immunity to that element and cause a meteor of the same damage type to fall from the sky. The same meteor cannot happen twice in a row. So that could be really, really cool just to grant yourself huge amounts of immunity. I'm not sure if this is going to open up the doors to some really weird sort of thing that someone figures out, some super tank wizard, but for the most part, just a nice addition. And then with Talrasha's elements, as the 4-piece bonus, Arcane, Cold, Fire, and Lightning attacks each increase all of your resistances by 50% for 8 seconds. So cool stuff indeed. And then this is where we get the big change here. So Meteor Shower Rune is now applied to all casted meteors, and those 300 to 400% increased damage. Now, I do have some gameplay of like the Talrasha Wizard. It felt very underwhelming. There's a couple of ways to play it. You can self-cast. Let me see if I can actually, Wizard actually towards like the very end. Let's roll in for some Necro gameplay here. But basically, it was just very underwhelming in terms of the stats, especially since this is basically the new reworked set, right? So this could be a nice change, and since the Meteor Shower Rune is going to be applied, I'm curious to see how it visually looks, because we don't have the ability to play gameplay right now on it, but I'll probably get you guys gameplay of it very soon, as this is something I want to test out. Is this going to make Wizard from what I consider to be a little bit on the lower spectrum of the tier list to be a lot higher on the tier list now for sure with this newer change? But I wonder if Firebirds is still going to be the go-to build for a Wizard. Now, after that, there's no change with the Monk in terms of like the sets over here. And then they fixed a bug where slow time and Archon's slow time did also stack. So those are basically the changes with the new update for Season 27. I'm curious to know, what do you guys think of this new upcoming season? And also, what class do you guys actually plan to play for Season 27? I've mentioned I'm probably going to be starting off with Demon Hunter, probably looking at Wizard as well. Barbarian is a great choice as well because of the whirlwind. If you guys haven't played Season 27's PTR, definitely look at the Barbarian. It's a completely new way to play. In fact, there's lots of different ways to play with these brand new powers, and it is quite fun. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here and do want to see more Diablo videos, as well as other action RPGs and more gaming content in the future, and this is your first time here, subscribe to the bell, and I'll drop you guys build guides on some of the things that we talked about very, very soon, as this season will be coming out in just a few more days. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!